I thought blocking my husband before leaving for a solo vacation would give me peace, a chance to breathe away from our constant arguments. I told myself it was just a short break, a way to reset our marriage. But when I stepped off that plane, luggage in hand and heart ready to reconcile, my entire world shattered. He was gone, without a trace, without a word. What I thought would be a journey of healing became the start of a nightmare I never saw coming. The weeks leading up to that trip had been filled with tension, though anyone looking from the outside would have assumed our life was picture perfect. We lived in a quiet neighborhood, surrounded by manicured lawns and neighbors who waved politely as we passed. To them, we were a couple who had it all: stability, a lovely home, and the appearance of happiness. But behind closed doors, our reality was much different. My husband, Daniel, had grown distant over the past year. The man who once stayed up late just to listen to me ramble about my dreams now seemed distracted and cold, always lost in his phone or working late hours. At first, I told myself it was just stress, a phase that would pass. But soon, the silence between us became deafening. When I suggested a vacation for the two of us, he brushed it off, saying he was too busy with deadlines. That rejection stung more than I cared to admit. So, in a moment of defiance, I booked a solo trip. A week by the sea, just me, my journal, and the sound of waves crashing against the shore. It was meant to be an escape, not from him, but from the suffocating weight of our unresolved issues. The night before I left, our argument was sharp and cutting. Words flew like daggers, accusations, frustrations, things that couldn't be taken back. His phone buzzed during the fight, and when I asked who it was, he refused to answer. That small act sparked a fire of suspicion that refused to go out. So, when I boarded that plane the next morning, I blocked his number. It wasn't out of hatred, it was out of desperation. I needed silence. I needed space. I told myself I would unblock him once I returned, once my mind was clear enough to face the truth of our marriage. The vacation itself was beautiful, but it felt hollow. Sunsets painted the sky in colors too breathtaking to capture, yet I felt a gnawing emptiness. I watched families laughing on the beach, couples holding hands, and I wondered if I had been fooling myself all along. Still, part of me clung to hope. I wrote pages in my journal about forgiveness, about rebuilding, about how absence might remind us of the love we once had. I convinced myself that a week away would make Daniel realize what he stood to lose. I was certain I'd walk through our front door and find him waiting, ready to embrace me, ready to fight for us. But what I walked into was silence. The house was too quiet when I arrived. No shoes by the door. No faint hum of the TV in the background. Just an eerie stillness that made the hairs on my arms stand up. I dropped my bags and called out his name, expecting him to appear from the kitchen or upstairs. Nothing. I checked the bedroom. His side of the closet was empty. Drawers that once held his neatly folded clothes now looked stripped bare. Panic surged through me. I unblocked his number and called immediately, but the line went straight to voicemail. I tried again, and again. No answer. I texted, pleading for him to respond, but the messages didn't deliver. His phone had been disconnected. That's when I noticed the envelope on the dining table. My heart pounded as I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, his handwriting sharp and deliberate. It read, "You wanted space. I gave it to you. Don't try to find me." The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. This wasn't just anger, it was finality. He was gone. In the days that followed, I spiraled. I called his workplace, only to find he had resigned weeks before. I reached out to his family, but they claimed they hadn't spoken to him in months. Friends were equally clueless or perhaps unwilling to get involved. It was as if he had erased himself from existence, leaving me with nothing but questions. And then whispers began to surface. A mutual acquaintance let slip that Daniel had been seen frequently in another part of town, always with the same woman. A woman I had never met, but whose name seemed to follow me everywhere once I heard it. Suddenly, the late nights, the secrecy, the refusal to share his phone. It all made sense. The betrayal I had tried to ignore was staring me in the face. My week of self-discovery had been his window to disappear completely, to leave me behind while he built a new life with someone else. The realization was like a knife twisting deeper with every thought. I had blocked him, thinking I was protecting my own sanity, never realizing I was giving him the perfect opportunity to vanish. The breaking point came when I drove to the address whispered to me by a friend who pitied my desperation. It was a small apartment complex on the edge of the city, far from the life we had built together. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, watching the door. My breath caught when I finally saw him. Daniel, carrying groceries, laughing as the woman beside him brushed his arm affectionately. They looked happy, carefree, as if the years we spent together had been nothing but a chapter he could close without consequence. I didn't confront him, couldn't. The betrayal was too deep, too final. Watching him walk into that building with her was enough to shatter the last fragments of denial I had clung to. That night, alone in my car, grief poured out of me in a way I had never experienced before. It wasn't just the loss of him, it was the loss of everything I thought we were. The memories, the promises, the life we planned together. All of it had dissolved into a cruel reminder that love can vanish in silence, leaving only scars behind. In the weeks that followed, I forced myself to stop chasing shadows. Daniel had chosen his path, and in doing so, he had freed me from a future built on lies. But betrayal has a way of lingering. It seeps into your bones, making you question your worth, your choices, even your reality. Healing didn't come quickly, but slowly, through long nights of reflection and small moments of strength. I began to realize that his disappearance wasn't just an ending. It was also a beginning. The truth is, betrayal doesn't always arrive with slammed doors and screaming matches. Sometimes, it comes quietly, disguised as distance, disguised as love fading away. Sometimes, you don't even realize it's happening until the person you trusted most is nothing but a memory. If you've ever felt that kind of pain, then, it changes you. It hardens you, but it also teaches you the most important lesson of all. Never lose yourself in someone else. So I ask you this, what would you do if the person you trusted most simply vanished, leaving you with nothing but questions? Would you chase them, or would you let the betrayal set you free? Because in the end, sometimes the greatest act of love is walking away from those who were never truly there to begin with.